It's Monday, November 18th, 2024, and this is episode 322 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall.
And I'm Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike, how are you feeling?
Pretty good.
Okay,
right,
good.
Today, good. Yeah, just had a real bad sinus kind of thing.
You couldn't
that
shake
last
it.
time.
Yeah.
Couldn't shake it. Oh, I tried all day. And the next day lasted a while, but eventually went away and back to my normal stupid self.
Yeah, good. So that's why we are a week late here. Through the day, you kept texting me. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. And finally, we just said, oh, no, let's just wait.
Well, I just would have been so out of it. It wouldn't have worked out well.
Yeah, we don't want that. So this episode's a week late, but we will release another episode next week so that we stay with our current schedule. So you got that to look forward to. I've got a lot of editing to look forward to within the next couple of weeks. But luckily, I'm taking that.
You're going to have a busy week.
Are you off that whole Thanksgiving week?
I work Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. I'm taking it off. The company gives us Thursday and Friday, of course, but a lot of people at my work are just taking the whole week off. So I'll be able to edit the show.
Yeah, good. I work Monday, Tuesday. There's a big biology test on Tuesday, and then I'm off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Good.
Sunday.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's always a nice break. All right.
Yep.
We're back from ZorkFest, although, again, now it seems like a million years ago, but we had a lot of fun. Sherry and I, of course, drove over there. We were able to stop in Barstow, and I got my Tommy burger, so that satisfied that urge.
Did you get a lot of chili?
A lot of chili. Got extra chili on the burger itself, and then chili cheese fries as well. So,
oh, my.
Yeah.
That's a lot of grease for one person.
And you know, Mike, I have trouble when I eat keeping food off of my shirt. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's my age or whatever, but I spill quite a bit on my shirt. Nothing for the Tommy's burger. Yeah. Sherry was thinking maybe I'm extra careful because I know it's so messy.
Maybe.
So.
I think it was just a fluke of nature for you, Mark.
All right. Yeah, it could be. So anyway, ZorkFest, our story, off to a good start here. Hope everybody's enjoying it. Anyway, Sherry and I stayed at Fontainebleau. Definitely put me in the column of people who really like Fontainebleau. I know there are some detractors, but I think it's a very nice property. We had a great room. I played there for 360 Vegas Vacation for just a little bit, and they offered me 4 nights and $200 folio to come back. So definitely took advantage of it. They're trying to get people there. You know, even Robin Aubin, and we'll talk about Robin a little bit later, he emailed us and said for the little bit that he played there, he got virtually the same offer, 4 nights and $400. I don't remember if it was in free play or folio, but yeah. So keep your eye out, Mike, for something in your mail.
I haven't gotten anything at all yet.
Okay.
They hate me.
Yeah.
I've got plenty to say about them, too.
Okay, let's talk about Fontainebleau then before we get into ZorkFest so much. So we definitely liked it. Sherry commented on how it's not very smoky, so they probably have good ventilation there, although we also didn't see too many people smoking. But anyway, they've got that. The scent, now Sherry's very sensitive to smell. It was a little overpowering because it's kind of a flowery, powdery scent.
Yeah.
When you go right in, you certainly noticed that as
well.
I
noticed it too, right when we got in there. Yeah, it's whatever they're putting in the air to make you want to lose your money.
It is a little hard to get your bearings when you're out on the floor. You know, every time we came out of the elevator area, it's like, now which way do we go? Because it's kind of oval shaped, but then there are little crevices that you go down. So I think on the final day, we were finally getting our bearings right, but it's a little hard to kind of tell where you are.
Yeah, you led us on some wild goose chase to find the craps table.
Yeah.
And at one point, you were ahead of us, and Sherry turned to me and said something like, didn't we just do? Did we just make a circle?
I took us in some circles. Yeah. Welcome back.
Now that's age. See, that's age.
Yeah, probably yes.
Yeah, that's just your natural instinct as an older person to walk.
Just keep
so you can prove.
Just go to the left.
Can prove you can
keep
do
going
it.
To the left. We didn't really eat at too many places. You and I and Sherry ate in the food court, and then Sherry and I ate twice at one of the casual dining places, Vita. I say casual. There's no super casual place to go there unless you go to the food court. But
I think super casual dining places are a thing of the past.
Well, certainly on the Strip. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I miss that a lot.
Oh, sure. Oh, me too, Mike.
Well, especially for us because, we're kind of like dash in and eat something quick and have a halfway decent meal and get on with our gambling. And there, I mean, everything's either really super fancy or it's like a food court.
Oh, it's right. It's like fast food. I always think back to the Palm Room at Stardust, Mike. We ate there quite a bit. Really just like their coffee shop, but then they'd have their prime rib special. That's where we went as a group where Clayton started coughing up because you said something funny. He started choking on his water.
Stupid, yeah. Well, and then when we were downtown, we ate at the Four Queens.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Up there at Magnolia's Cafe, right? And that's still there. I mean, I wish there was something kind of like that on the Strip.
And you could get breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Oh, yeah, anything,
anything open 24/7. It's wonderful.
But we ate at this restaurant, Vita. I had two very good meals. The best hash browns I've ever had in my life, Mike. And I know that sounds like hyperbole. And I know you're a big hash browns guy.
Yeah.
But it came like in a patty. So you look at it and you're thinking, what's this going to be like? I can't tell. It's just the flavors and everything. It was just really excellent. So,
and was it cooked all the way through?
Oh, yeah. There wasn't like raw in the middle or overcooked or anything like that. Perfectly cooked. Yeah. Very good.
You're making me hungry just thinking about that.
We'll take you there next time. Just a couple more things about Fontainebleau, and then I'll let you kind of take over. We had a listener call in talking about how they had really good blackjack rules there. I couldn't find any blackjack tables where they stayed on soft 17. All the ones that I saw, it was hit on soft 17. So I don't know, maybe they've kind of changed that. And then as far as dealer quality goes, or I should say the way dealers treated us,
yes,
it was definitely a mixed bag. And maybe I'll let you take over at this point.
Yeah, it was definitely a mixed bag. Yeah. Some of them were very nice and good, and things were great. And I had a few that were just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and again, this is in the way that they treated you.
It just turned me off.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was right the first time we played there.
Yeah.
Right? And so you automatically get this bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
For the casino, and it's hard to shake that. I mean, other dealers were nice. I'm not saying they were all like that, but this one guy, oh my gosh, he was just bad.
Yeah. But then the flip side, Mike, remember when you played there later, like the next day or a couple of days later, there was that one pit boss who was in kind of that high limit area.
Yeah, some high rollers bought in.
Yeah.
I was playing by myself, and these high rollers, they bought in for 100,000, and then they said, we're going to go watch the fourth quarter of whatever game was on that they wanted to watch. Yeah. And I thought, well, why'd you buy in?
Yeah.
But I guess they wanted certain spots, right?
Okay.
So they got our chips are all sitting there and they left. And then I was by myself. And after a couple of bad rolls, I thought, well, I don't know. If I really want to sit here, I'm the only one rolling. It wasn't going that well. So I said, okay, I'll just take a little break too. And so I went, and I didn't even go very far. I went to a slot machine where I could actually see in that room.
Yeah, to see when they would come back. Yeah.
Yeah. And so finally I saw them come in there. I cashed out my slot and I walked over and I look, and now the limits, it went from 25 to 100.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was covering all the numbers and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, that's going to go quick if I continue to play this way. Now, I could have just played there and taken 6 and 8.
It changed the way you play, right? But then you're not, you're not enjoying yourself.
And then I thought to myself, well, I can play the same way. I'll just go out on the floor, right?
Yeah.
So the pit boss, he looked at me. He says, I'm sorry. Yeah, these guys, they requested this. And he looked at me and I said, hey, you don't even have to explain. I completely understand.
Money talks that's business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's business. And I just said, okay, no problem. I went out on the floor, and as I was playing out there, he came by later and actually stopped, shook my hand, and said, I appreciate you so much. You were very considerate and didn't make a stink or anything or asked to be grandfathered in. And I said, no, it's no problem at all. He said, well, I just felt bad because, you're a good guy. You were playing, you were tipping, and these guys kind of made it unaffordable for you. And I said, it's okay. Don't worry about it. He was super nice.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah.
that kind of made up for everything.
Right.
And he was a pit.
Yeah.
So that was good. Yeah, it's just one of the dealers who said some stuff that just was uncalled for.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, and this is kind of related. So the first night that we were there, it was before you had shown up. You were coming the following day. I went in. They've got this room. It's called the Solo Room. I guess it's kind of their high limit room, except there's a separate high limit room with tables and slots. They just don't have craps in the official high limit room. So they've got this room called the Solo Room, which is much smaller, but it has some table games, including craps, and a nice bar there. It's actually a nice place to play. Anyway, I went in there and noticed it was a crapless table. And so I said, okay, let me ask you, can I buy the 5 and 9 and pay the VIG afterwards? And there was some discussion. It's like, yeah. And then I said, okay, can I make buy bets for $30 and only have to pay $1 VIG? That's certainly the way it is in Biloxi. And it was the way it was at Horseshoe in Blackhawk. And I think, casinos are kind of moving this way. And they're like, yeah, $1 for 30. Yeah. It's like, great, let's play. And the pit at the time, I saw him kind of getting on a phone too, just to kind of verify this stuff. And he did, and it was nice. And it was a great crew. I had fun talking to him, had a blast, won. Very good. So 2 days later, you and Robin and I go back to that exact same table. It's a different crew. And I asked them the exact same questions. Can I buy the 5 and 9 and pay the VIG afterwards? No. And the pit had a screen that he was looking at. Nope. Buys on the 5 and 9, you got to pay the VIG up front.
And it wasn't a polite no.
And that's what I'm going to get to.
It was kind of what a stupid question.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to get to. Then I asked the second question. Okay, for $30, will that just cost $1 VIG? No. 25 is the most, and then anything above 25, it's $2. So I'm saying, look, I was here 2 days ago, and they said yes to both of my questions. And here's what gets me. I'm not terribly upset about them having different opinions about what these hard, cold facts at the casino rules should be.
Right.
Fine. We hear this all the time. Different shifts. The word doesn't get out. Okay, fine. It was kind of the way they treated me. It wasn't like, oh, really? Oh, I've got to look into that. Or, oh, I'm going to find out what crew that was. It was more like, who's this guy trying to angle shoot, claiming that he was here the other day? Yeah, they just completely blew me off. Like, no, sir, this is the way it is. They didn't say that, but the tone is like, this is the way it is. This is the way it's always been. What are you trying to pull here?
Well, it was kind of an indignant tone, like, hey, come on, you're wasting our time.
Yeah, right. It was.
And he made no phone call or text with anybody.
I don't know. Again, the 2 nights before the guy got on the phone, when we were there, the guy was looking at a screen. We didn't see the screen, but he's supposedly reading from the screen. No, 5 and 9, you pay the VIG up front, $25 a max for $1 VIG. Anyway, and that was the first session that you had at Fountain Blue. So that's one of the reasons it left a bad taste in your mouth. To begin with there. So,
right. Yeah. It's just kind of bad customer service. Yep. The smart thing for him to do, even if he didn't believe you or didn't want to give you that option, he could just say, oh, let me check and, go where we can't hear and pick up the phone and just whatever. And then come back. Oh yeah. They said, no, that's, that was wrong the other night or something, or, oh, they must've made a mistake. Sorry about that.
Something like
no,
that.
It was nothing. It was just like, you're a jerk. Get out.
And not that he cared or would have cared, but I would have given them more action. As a result, I didn't take the 5 and 9 when I was making my bets. Right. I just, okay, if I can't buy it, I don't want to deal with the 4% house edge on a place bet. So anyway, we also went later to Resorts World and asked the same questions. And I'm surprised that this question isn't asked more. Maybe as Crapless Craps continues to spread, we'll get more of this, what can you buy? But he said, no, you can't buy the 5 and 9. And also, we were asking, $30, can we be $1 VIG? And he was like, well, no, not really. What I could do is, one time you bet it's $1, the next time it's $2, then $1, then we just go back and forth. And we're like, no, that's fine. Whatever
that's
your
just
rule
too
is,
much to deal
it's
with.
Ridiculous. So Anyway, that's Fontainebleau. That's our craps rules. Anything else you want to say about that before we actually move on to ZorkFest?
I will say this. The casino is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of open and, it's comfortable. And I love that room with just the craps table in there.
Yeah.
I'd be playing there all the time. It just goes to show you how important customer service is.
Mm-hmm.
They almost were like pissed off we played.
Well, we've talked about this, and this just emphasizes that the crew is the most important thing when it comes to our enjoyment of playing craps. Oh, Mike, I will give them some credit. When you and Robin and I went there to that solo room, the posted limits were $100, and you actually asked them, hey, can you go down to 25? We'll play here if you can go down to 25. And they immediately said yes.
Yeah, he said, sure.
We got off to a great start because, oh, yeah, sure. There was no, let me call. No, it was just, 25. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So,
as a dealer, if I was at a table that like that, say 100 limit, nobody's playing and everything, I'd love for them to lower it if some guys want to play, because when you're busy at work, time goes by.
Yeah.
If I'm just sitting there, it goes so slow. Give me something to do.
Yeah. And, not that they know what we're like, but once they see the way that we're playing and kind of our attitude and that we're taking care of them, they kind of brighten up. That definitely happened at Resorts World. It's like with the boxman there. He wasn't rude or anything, but he was just kind of not very enthusiastic. And after we started playing, he kind of saw that we were kind of having fun and being funny and tipping and everything. He was laughing along with us, and it was like a whole different personality. So, again,
don't you think? Now, I did appreciate that about him.
Yeah.
But don't you think your attitude should be to be nice right off the bat?
Yeah, it shouldn't depend on the players. And again, how do you know what we're going to be like? I agree. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to actual ZorkFest. That first night, you came, and almost immediately we went to the cocktail party to kind of kick off ZorkFest. And we saw everybody there, said hello. And Josh from Crap Vegas and I were in charge of running a craps lab, basically teaching novice players, or newbies, I should even say, how to play craps. And so we got there, and Danny from It's Vegas, Y'all, he was helping run the event with Michael Traeger. He said, well, wait till you see what we've got set up for you for this craps lab. We hadn't walked in the room yet. And we're thinking, okay, so it's not going to be, a really nice table. Maybe it'll be a table like a homemade table or something like that. And he said, no, you wish it were a homemade table or something like that. So we walked into the room. There was no table. There was just a big craps felt draped over a couple of tables that were in the conference room. And according to Michael and Danny, the day before the event, Caesars had promised them, we're going to have a table up there for you. But the day before, they said, sorry, we can't get the craps table into our freight elevator. The day before. So I'm talking to Michael about this. He said, Danny and I were debating what to do. Should we go to a third party? We were considering that, having them come and but that's last minute, and then we got to pay more, and we don't know what we're getting. So anyway, Caesars kind of dropped the ball there. But what we ended up with was just a craps felt, no puck, no off and on puck, no stick, a few chips, but not enough chips to give everybody to have them practice playing. It was really only enough chips for us to demonstrate where bets went. And the kicker, it was a crapless layout. We're teaching new people how to play, and they sent us a crapless craps layout.
Now, isn't that odd that a casino conveniently wouldn't be able to get a table in their thing? They give you a crapless felt with not enough chips to really teach anybody. Maybe they didn't want them learning craps.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. We took some napkins to cover up the 2, 3, 11, and 12 so that we could teach real craps. We didn't want to teach newbies crapless craps. So we covered those up at least. And then Josh and I ran this craps lab, which actually was extremely successful. We got a lot of great positive feedback from it.
Oh, it was packed. There were a lot of people there, yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of helped, too, that this one woman that we were having rolling the dice, she had a great roll. She kept making freaking points. So we're able to, use all these examples. Okay, here's what you do. Here's what you do. At the same time, cautioning people, hey, it usually doesn't go this well. But no, we got great feedback from that. So I assume that's something that's going to be a recurring thing at future ZorkFests.
Yeah, it was good. I saw there were a lot of people who really enjoyed it.
Yep.
And I think learned. I saw quite a few of them actually playing later.
Yeah, they went downstairs after the lab and we're playing and having some fun. So the bulk of ZorkFest, which is panels on that Saturday for people who like playing the points and mileage game, and credit cards and things like that. We basically aren't big travelers. So we didn't go to any of those events during the day, but I did get up. 7 a.m. was the next craps lab. I don't know why they decided 7 a.m. Josh had gone to the dinner that they had at Wynn the night before. We did not. So he was really up late, but I got there around 7 and we didn't do a full-on craps lab. It was more like people had questions. So it was like Q&A. People would come up, or what about this? Can I bet this? What does this mean? As opposed to like me starting from the beginning. Here's how you play the game. So, that was good too. That was good. And then that's when you and Robin from Anytime Gambling and Sherry and I went back to Fountain Blue and ended up playing at that crapless table. Robin doesn't play a lot of craps. And again, it was a $25 table. So we said to him, hey, just 6 and 8, $30 each, 6 and 8. And it started out a little bit cold, but after a while, he was winning some money.
Yeah, and then that turned around again, too.
Yeah, it did. We ended up losing. But he followed up. He had a great time playing that and, got a sense of how you can kind of still be a low roller but play at these higher limits. So, and then that night, you and I took part in the Podcasters After Dark panel. Danny ran it. And the panel included Sonia, his partner from It's Vegas, Y'all, and Karen from 360 Vegas, Josh from Crap Vegas, and Adam Bauer, and you and I. So again, that's always fun to, it's kind of a light-hearted kind of a conversation, and we have fun, and they gave us free drinks. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it's, those are usually pretty 60% serious, 40% kind of funny.
Yeah. Danny had some good questions for us. I'm going to contact, I think it'd be nice if we did more Q&A, had a little more time for Q&A, because it seems like there were people in the audience who still had questions even when we were finishing up. And I kind of like that. I know that it's nice to have Danny give us questions ahead of time so that we can look at them and think about. But people in the audience always have really good questions. So
yeah, and that's what people want to hear, really, I guess, too, right?
Yeah. Not too much more to say about ZorkFest. Of course, we saw, a bunch of people. I'm going to forget everybody. Saw Patrick. We haven't seen him in a long time. Melanie, of course. Melanie is so great. I mean, just fantastic. Great to see her.
You know what's
again.
Great about Melanie? She's always upbeat.
Oh gosh, she's the most positive person I've ever met in my life. I know.
Yeah,
she's just
always
so great.
Upbeat.
Yeah,
and that just you just feel good when she's there because she's so upbeat, and that's not a lot you get in a casino, really.
No, we talked about it, right? A lot of people seem to be mad that they're there. So
right, yeah. What the hell am I doing here? And she's the exact opposite. Like, this is the greatest thing ever.
We did have coffee dice on that last day, Sunday morning. It's funny, if you listen to Crap Vegas, I wasn't there early enough, but Josh got there and went up to the pit that was working there. Yeah, we've got a table reserved. And she's like, you do? I would have been surprised if they would have known. Okay. But she did look at her sheet and she said, I've got 2 crews coming in at 8 o'clock I don't normally have. So at least somebody was ready for us. And they ended up having 2 tables available for us. So that actually worked out great.
Which was awesome. Yeah. So everybody, I think, who wanted pretty much got a seat.
Agreed. Now, you and I were on a crapless table. Apparently, they tried to open 2 crapless tables for us. And
that was the original intent. They were both going to be crapless.
Come on. So Josh at least said, can we make one of them, regular? And I said, okay. So that was good. So we're at the crapless table and the other guys are at the regular craps table. And we're kind of yelling back and forth, giving each other a hard time. They definitely were having better luck than we were. So we were like booing them. And
yeah, we had no good rolls. You had a good roll and that was it. It was a good roll. It wasn't a great
It
roll.
wasn't a great roll, but it was a good roll. I was thinking, Mike, that might have been the best roll you and I had the whole trip experienced.
Well, not for me, but
Oh, you played a lot more by yourself. Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
when I
Okay.
was by myself, I had a good roll.
Okay. Well, for me, that was the best roll
Yeah.
I saw all week.
Yeah. Well, for us together, that was probably the best roll.
Yeah. And then Sherry and I, we went over to take a look at the Bellagio Conservatory. That's always great. It had a fall theme going. I imagine they're going to be getting Christmas ready here soon. That's always a really good one. And Sherry and I that last day finally ate at Peppermill. We'd never been to Peppermill before. It's on the Strip right there. It's old Vegas. You go in, it's kind of got like a foresty, jungly theme to it inside, kind of kitschy. A lot of fun. Not cheap. You know, you think, oh, Peppermill, yeah, it's old Vegas. It's not like we're talking about where you go in its old coffee shop. It's pretty expensive for what you get, but you can't beat the experience.
Well, nothing's really inexpensive anymore.
Certainly on the Strip. If you want the Vegas experience, yeah, Strip, even downtown. But if you just want a gambling experience where you're getting some good gambling and good food, etc., for your money, yeah, probably off Strip, local places.
And there are a lot of them. There's a lot of places, and with good values and cheaper food, and and a lot of them have great amenities too. I mean,
it's true.
They're just not on the Strip.
Yeah. Mike, I was kind of laughing because either last episode or 2 episodes ago, we were saying, oh gosh, Mike, when's the last time you went to Vegas? Oh, it's been so long. Oh my gosh. And while it's true that the two of us together haven't been to Vegas a long time, you went just a couple months ago with your wife and daughter.
Right.
Completely forgot.
It's funny. I completely forgot about that because you weren't there. It was like, that was it. I mean, I was gambling by myself. None of them, my daughter's too young and my wife really not into it. She stayed with the kids and it just didn't seem like a regular Vegas trip.
I understand. Well, thank you. That makes sense.
And it was just overnight too. So,
yeah.
So I'm not counting that in my list of Vegas trips, which I have no number what that is.
All right. Very good.
I always laugh. People say, "Yeah, this is my 14th trip, and this is my." And I know what yours are because you log them all, but I have no idea. Yeah. What would you say I'm at?
Oh gosh, there was that period there where you were going constantly, so you you may be close to 150.
Yeah, I'd say at least that. Yeah. That's 149 bad ones, Mark.
Anything else about the trip?
No, had a really good time.
Yeah,
I enjoyed myself. So.
Yeah.
I think if you're into the points and miles and that stuff, it's probably really good.
Yeah.
Although I did hear a few grumblings from people about.
Yeah, I did too. And I was encouraging people who had issues to contact Michael because he certainly wants to hear feedback, good or bad.
And he's very,
to improve it next
very
year.
approachable. I mean, he's the kind of guy that would take your feedback and say, oh, okay, let me think about that. What can we do better? Yeah. So, if you had any issues with that. Now, for us, it's about the gambling and also seeing people that, we haven't seen in a while.
Right. We basically attend ZorkFest because Michael invites us to participate in the gambling aspect, like this Craps Lab, like Podcasters After Dark, even though we are really not into the points and miles, that kind of thing.
Well, for me, my plane trips are like going to San Diego and, occasionally my wife and I will travel somewhere, but it's not like a regular thing. And any trips that involve gambling, the casino will usually cover that.
Yeah.
So we don't have really a need for that. Now, when I'm an old man someday, Mark, maybe I'll travel more, but
no, I don't think so.
I really don't either. I just said that for comic
relief. Good for you. And then ZorkFest next year, I think it's going to be the beginning of December, Las Vegas again. So,
good. Yeah, that's a good week, actually.
It is.
That's rodeo time.
It's like right before the rodeo. I think that's when he's going to do it.
Oh,
so you should be able to get pretty good rates. It's a little slower once the rodeo comes into town. Then the rates.
Being there when the rodeo's in town is the best.
That's always fun too. Yeah.
There's so many cowboys sitting at a table with their big hats.
Yep.
laughing it up. That actually is a very fun group of people.
It is. And my experience with them has been, they've just been nothing but gracious and fun
and fun and nice. My dad loved that.
Yeah.
He would always talk about, remember the Cowboys, because they're talking to, him, he was talking to them like crazy and they were talking back and laughing and buying drinks for each other and stuff. It was just a great time. So if you have never done that, it's a good time to go to Vegas. And if you like rodeos, the rodeo's really good.
Yep. All right. That was ZorkFest. We definitely had a good time, although not profitable by any means. Oh, we got an email from listener Mike. He hit a royal flush the other week and got a W2G. It looks like it was maybe for around 8,000, something like that. But he was wondering what gamblers should do to keep track of gambling wins and losses when it comes to filing taxes. What does the IRS expect? And yes, in virtually every case, if you have lost more money than you have won, then you can deduct those losings up to the amount that you won as part of your tax filing. Now, what does the IRS want to see in terms of how much you've won and lost? In the past, we've heard they want a handwritten diary of all of your sessions. So you keep track of where you played, the game that you played, how much you won or lost. And you do that for every session. And a session, again, would be not just a location, but also the type of game you played, that kind of thing. I think the time. In this day and age where people aren't writing things down anymore, they're putting it on their phone or in spreadsheets, the IRS probably would accept an electronic version. And again, we're not lawyers, we're not tax attorneys, but they probably would accept that, keeping in mind that they can also check electronic files to see like when they were created, when they were last updated, things like that.
Right.
That's
you can't
just
do it the day before.
Right. So that was really what Mike was asking was, what do I keep track of and how do I do it? So we would recommend doing it handwritten still, since that's what apparently the IRS likes, but just every session, how much you won and lost. Mike says that when he looks at his Caesar statement, they'll provide a win-loss statement. He's always a loser, but again, those statements are not terribly accurate unless you are playing slots. Then they can be pretty accurate. But if you've got table games in there, they're way inaccurate. We can attest to that.
Yeah, and that's because you can walk away from a table. I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody's walked away and the dealer turns to the boxman and the boxman says, what do you leave with? And the dealer's like, I wasn't paying that much. I don't know, a couple hundred, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So they're not very accurate at all.
Yeah. So keep track yourself.
Well, what is going to happen, Mark, when they abandon the IRS and it's gone? And
what's going to happen? You want me to kind of predict the future and there's no IRS?
Well, yeah, when there's no IRS and we're just declaring our income, gambling-wise, what's going to happen?
Gambling-wise? Well, I think the answer is pretty simple, Mike. You won't have to declare wins or losses.
See, now that's what I'd like to see. You don't have to declare wins or losses.
Uh-huh.
But I got this feeling that if something like that were to happen, let's say, just theoretically,
all right,
they would say, if you have any like W2Gs or anything, then you have to declare loss. You have to have proof of your losses.
Why am I even entertaining this conversation? Why would you be given a W2G if the IRS doesn't exist anymore?
Well, maybe there's some other department. I'm just worried that at some point I'm going to have to keep track.
All right. Don't worry about it. Okay, Dr. Mike? Just don't worry about it.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over
You're not
that.
playing slots anyway, so you don't get W2Gs. The only time you've ever gotten them is when you've hit the fire bet in craps. So
I got one for slots.
Oh, yeah, 20-some years ago. So
yeah,
just relax, all right?
All right. Well, I'm concerned for everybody. I don't want us to have to be tracking.
Just track, all right? Good for you.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll start that starting now.
Okay, start right now. Track.
No, I'll start that in February.
Not January?
No, February, because I'll be 65. From 65 on, I'm going to keep track of all my winnings and losses to the penny, Mark.
All right. I'm glad I've got this.
So much so it's going to be so annoying for you.
See, I could see me doing something like that. It's not going to happen. I'm glad I got this recorded. This
is one of those things in 10 years when I'm 75, you can play back and say, can we see your sheets?
I'm going to be playing this back in March.
All right.
All right, we also got an email from Bart. He said, "Hi guys, longtime listener, first time commenting. I've heard rumors that there is a quadruple zero roulette table at the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. Talked to a pit boss today, and she told me that they had it for a short time, but it's gone now. Currently, they have no plans to bring it back, so apparently we avoided the fourth zero roulette table for now. She didn't tell me anything about the success of it. Love your show. Keep up the good work, Bart." So they're trying.
Now, if the fourth zero paid more.
Okay.
What if you got, 1, 2, or 3, just, regular payouts. But if you bet on 4 and 4 hit, you got like 100 to 1 or something.
Okay. That might make it worth it. Yeah.
There's got to be a point where it makes it worth it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but they're never going to do that. All they're going to do is keep adding zeros till suddenly people are, what, 10 zeros? All right, it's only $5. I guess I'll play.
This is great. This is another thing I won't have to worry about.
More zeros showing up on roulette wheels.
Yeah, this podcast has really lightened the burden on me.
For once.
Yeah, for once.
Hey, we got a message from our buddy Chuck, too, on Facebook. He wondered what size Butterfingers you and Lynn are eating. Because, you were talking about how you love them, and we were talking about how the taste has changed over the years. What size are you eating?
Well, we don't discriminate in this household. We'll eat any size Butterfinger that is available.
Okay.
But I'd be a fool to turn down large size Butterfingers and just get the small ones.
So if given a choice, let's say
a choice, it's always large.
It's always the large. Okay. Because I'm thinking in our household, we get the miniature, not the real tiny ones, but like the fun size.
Yeah. There's no such thing.
So Chuck, regular, or I should say big size Butterfinger bars.
Yeah. And life's too short, Chuck. Why are you going to eat the quote fun size, which just frustrates you and makes you want more?
Frustration.
You
it's
you can just get the big size. And then when you're done, just lay back and drink your Mountain Dew and think to yourself, that was sweet.
Yeah. And think, should I have another one?
Yeah, I could probably squeeze one in.
See, that's the thing with the fun size. You eat one, of course you're going to have a second one. You have no idea when it will end. At least with the big ones, usually after one, you're going to stop.
Well, no, usually you're going to check your blood sugar and see if you have room for another one. Yeah. And my count. What's my count? You're yelling across the
You can have
house.
2/3 of another one. No more.
You're good. Maybe that's what I'll get, like a constant blood glucose monitor that displays my blood glucose on the TV screen when I watch TV.
That'll be on the monitor at our casino. Dr. Mike's current blood sugar level. Wait, shouldn't customers be able to hook up to that? Nope. You're just going to see Dr. Mike's.
Yeah, you're going to see Dr. Mike's, and we take bets.
No, of course.
We take bets. The over-under today is 250.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something like, say, full-size Butterfingers through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to voicemails. We've got quite a few. We're not going to get to all of them today, but that's okay because, like I said, we're going to have another episode next week. But let's get started with our buddy, Eamon.
Hello, gentlemen. Eamon here. Just finished a trip to Atlantic City where we stayed at the Borgata. Overall, pretty great property, quite a big casino, lots of table games. We even tried some new games. We saw flop poker, which itself was not very interesting. And then there was Asia poker, which we tried playing and didn't do well on that. But our second night there, now that I live in the UK, a friend and I, we decided to stay up late and just catch up. And we went and sat in High Limit and decided to play some slots just to kill some time because the table games were, like I said, not good. So the first game we played was top dollar. So we put in a few $100, not much. And we hit the bonus. And the way it works is they give you offers. It's kind of like Deal or No Deal. And you can either say yes or no. The first offer was like $75, I think. The second offer was around $100. The third offer was, again, like $50 to $75. And then the fourth offer was $2,700. So that was amazing. So we took that money. We're like, what do we do now? Well, we're up. Let's try something else. We went over to Huff and Puff. And within a couple of minutes, we hit another bonus. We actually got the mansion bonus. And we actually turned our denomination up because we did well on top dollar. Well, it turns out we hit the major, and we almost filled up the screen with mansions for $19,000. And if this wasn't enough, we said, hey, let's go get a drink and celebrate this giant win. So we went over to the center bar there, and we asked for a couple drinks, and while the bartender was pouring them, we put $100 into video poker. And we're on a kick of Deuces Wild lately. So we decided to play Deuces Wild bonus poker. Second hand, we got dealt 2-2, like Jack 7, ace. And in bonus poker, you obviously you need aces. So we kept the 2 2s, the ace, and we got dealt 2 more 2s for 5 aces, which paid another $4,000. We literally could not stop winning. We went back to high limit and hit a few more bonuses for a few more hand pays. So anyways, the trip has been paid for, and we bought dinner for the group. But overall, really great. I hope I'm not a slot convert. But yeah, great place. Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations, Eamon. Oh, what a run.
Yeah, you're going to edit this out, right, at the real podcast?
Oh, yeah, I don't want people hearing about this. This is crazy. It's like Trey hitting the Royal Flush at ZorkFest.
Yeah, at ZorkFest,
I don't want to broadcast that.
Yeah, no, you don't want to broadcast that. People are going to stop playing craps and go to slots. I mean, they've already converted Josh.
Yeah, he's just
I mean, there's a guy who, just played craps, and now you can barely find him on a craps table.
I know. I lost all this in craps. I got to go win it back at slots.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eamon actually sent us videos of hitting these. So very exciting. Oh, my gosh. What a great run.
Yeah, God, it's such a good feeling when you just can't lose.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, no matter what I do today, because you have a million of those days where no matter what I do today, nothing happens.
Yep.
And you'll sacrifice, you'll have a million of those just to get one day where everything goes your way. It's like that movie, The Horse Track.
Oh, Let It Ride?
Yeah, it's like Let It Ride.
Yeah, he finally had one of those days.
Right, he had one of those days.
Yep. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is W2Jesus from the Vegas Match Show on YouTube. I'm a huge fan. I've been listening since you posted your very first podcast. I love it. Thanks for what you guys do. On the last episode, you talked a little bit about ADT and how that can affect your offers. If you go in there and don't play much, your offers go down. Nobody wants that. I thought I'd expand on that a little bit because I've spent a lot of time in casinos. For the most part, what you said is correct. You don't want to go in and just play a very little bit because that will trip you and bring your offers down a little bit. And when I say trip you, what I mean is they will count that day as a day of gaming. And you typically don't want to do that unless you're going to play as you normally would or bigger. But there are a couple things you can do with your card and use your benefits that will typically not trip you. For example, on the Las Vegas Strip, a lot of the casinos charge for parking. If you've got a high status card that they'll comp parking for you, I would go ahead and do that. Same thing goes with valet. That typically won't trip you. What will trip you is using a marketing offer. For example, they sent you a coupon for $100 at the steakhouse during the month of September. I would not go in and use that if I wasn't going to gamble. Same thing with free play or gifts. Come on in and get this cast iron skillet. I wouldn't do any of that if I wasn't going to gamble. What I would be willing to do, I would be willing to spend my points at the casino. If you're staying at Bellagio and your friends are meeting up at Caesar's Palace and you have points that you want to use to spend for that dinner or comp dollars, that's generally fine. The distinction between the two is the marketing offer. They typically do not view that as something they've sent you as a reward for previous play. They look at that as something they've sent you as an incentive to play again. So yeah, don't gamble, don't earn a point, Don't use a marketing offer. Don't download free play, but feel free to spend your points or comp dollars, although I probably would not download my points into a slot machine and play them that way. They'll be there. Just use them next time. Go ahead. Feel free to use your card for parking or valet, too. Anyways, appreciate you guys. No Sandos.
All right. So, again, what we're trying to avoid here is a trip to the casino where they count that as zero gambling and they actually average it in to your ADT, thus bringing down your ADT and limiting your offers. So good advice, but it's also going to depend on the players club you're working with, what their policy is. And you may not get the same answer from different employees within the same company. You'd almost have to empirically test it and see, okay, am I getting tripped? And we use the word trip as a verb here. That counts as like a trip to the casino. I'm getting tripped when I eat at the restaurant, but I'm not getting tripped when I use free parking, things like that. So again, still be aware.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, you can go to one place and it could be just like this, and you go to another place and it's totally different. Yep. And we've had the experience of when we ask, nobody really even knows.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times we've asked and they never are able to tell you.
Yeah.
So who knows what's really going on, and who knows how often it changes?
Yeah, right. How often it changes. Like what happened on one of our previous callers, it seemed like the policy at the casino actually changed. So just be aware.
Yeah, it's another one of those things. What do we call it? Voodoo?
Yep, voodoo.
It's just voodoo. I mean, it's like going to the craps table at Fontainebleau and finding out that, what you did last night, you can't do today.
Yep. Yep. All right. On a previous episode, we were talking about how sports books will sometimes offer a cash out on maybe a parlay ticket that has not completed yet. Or even if you've got a ticket for a game that's underway, they'll offer you a cash out. We've said, don't take the cash out because it's never really a very good deal. So we've got a call from Jason related to this.
Hey, gentlemen. Jason from Michigan again. Hope you had a great time in Las Vegas and won some money. Calling back about your previous show and a voicemail debate that came up about parlay betting and taking a cash out or not. Just wanted to share a story that my brother had a unique situation pop up with a 12-game parlay. I think he only bet $10, but doing it with the spread. And he hit the first 10 games. Well, they offered him a $18,000 buyout, or he could let it ride and go for the $150,000 or whatever it was that it would have paid out. He took the buyout. For $10, he got $18,000. Next game he lost, and then the final game he would have won. So he would have ultimately lost everything. I guess he could have hedged it somehow, but in that instance, I thought it was very good opportunity to take a lot of money for a small bet that probably will happen once every 5-10 years if he's lucky. So just wanted to share that story that I think in some instances to take the payout does make sense, but probably won't happen very often. You guys take care. Appreciate your show.
All right. Yeah, thanks. I think I had mentioned on the previous episode, unless it's life-changing money. But I would have taken this 18,000 on 10. I would have taken that if they'd offered it to me. Sure.
Yeah, and 18,000's, I mean, maybe not life changing.
No, but on a $10 bet,
on a $10 bet, you bet $10, you're going to get 18,000. That's a lot of money. You could,
even
buy something pretty big,
right? Even though mathematically it might have not been the best move. It's $18,000. And the whole discussion came up about house money versus your money. I was saying, it's not really your money. This kind of blurs the line when it's that much money. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. There is a point where the line gets very, now let's say they offered him 5,000.
Yeah.
Then it'd be like, no.
You'd really have to think about it. Yeah. I think it would, I wouldn't have taken that one, but yeah.
Yeah.
On the same topic, we got an email from listener Daniel. Hey, Mark and Mike, regarding the cash out option, I think there's an opportunity to make money. Not long ago, I made a wager on Navy against Notre Dame. The line opened up at plus 14. At plus 13.5, I bought a ticket for $20. After the first day, it went down to plus 11.5. My ticket gained value, and they offered me more to cash out. It wasn't much, maybe $1 or $2, but there is an opportunity to make money before the game even starts. And I'll stop right there that, yes, there's opportunity to make money. However, they're not giving you mathematically a very good deal. I'm not saying you shouldn't take it. Just be aware that they're not going to give you what the ticket is actually worth in a situation like that.
Well, the casino's never going to offer you what it's worth or more, right? They're going to just say, take this or not. They're prying on your sense of, well, it might lose. I'll just take this anyway.
Yeah.
Would it be worth it for a couple of bucks? No way.
Yeah.
Would it be worth it for, 5,000, 10,000? Well, maybe.
Yep. Continuing here, also, you can cash out when you're ahead. They don't offer a great price, but it can be useful in some situations. If you're winning big early, you can take a profit without sweating the rest of the game. In this last Thursday night football game, the Rams were up 7 late in the fourth quarter. My line was Rams -3. I could have taken a $16 profit on a $20 bet. Instead, I chickened out. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but okay.
Right.
And the Seahawks tied the game, sending it into overtime. It ended up working out in the end, but it took an unlikely pass from Stafford. Thanks for the podcast. So again, the opportunities are definitely there. Mathematically, they're not. So definitely consider that when you're making the decision.
Yeah, this all boils down to what kind of person you are.
Well, and how much money it is too.
Yeah, and how much money it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, some people like me, I would just go for it, right? And not have a big problem if I lost it.
Yes, if you're talking about small
I would
amounts
think
of
of
money,
it as my investment was $10.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. So I'm like, well, I didn't get 10,000, but
Well, but you said you would have
$10
cashed out the 18, right? The
Well,
18,000?
I know. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
It depends on what your tendencies are.
Yeah.
Now you would do the math.
Well, but like I said, I'd still take the 18 in that case, even though the math doesn't work. So,
well, it's closer than if they offered you like 6,000.
well, sure.
So, you're setting a line where, it's worth it. It's not worth it. My line is, I'm going for it. And someone else's line would be like, well, yeah, I'll take 5,000, even though I stand to win 20. They'll just take that because that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And just, comparing you and me, I'm more conservative when it comes to things like that. You're more willing to take risk. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So it's the amount of money, how much it would change your life, and your personality too.
Yeah.
And how you look at losing.
Definitely. That's a huge part of any gambler.
Right. How you look at losing.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Next up is Rev Dan.
Hey guys, it's Rev Dan from Tulsa, and I don't really have any kind of update to share with y'all. I haven't had a chance to do any gambling in a while, but I had a few questions. Your most recent episode, you had a caller talking about trying to walk away from the craps table with chips, and the pit boss was, requiring him to color up or turn his, black chips over, and Mark said something about, well, the chips belong to the casino. And I just wonder if you could say more about that, because to me, it seems like a transaction. If I give you $100 at the cage and you give me 20 reds, it seems almost as if I've just purchased those reds and I can do whatever I want with them. I can walk out the door, or as he said, throw them out the window. So is that true? Do they actually belong to the casino? Can they at any time come up and demand them back? Yeah, so would love to know exactly what you mean by that. You all talk fairly regularly, not in detail, but just about some of the sports wagering you all do. And it sounds like you have maybe an account that you each, put a certain amount of money in, and y'all place bets on a regular basis. I'd just be curious to hear a little bit more about that. Do y'all have a certain amount of money you put in each season? Is there a certain amount of money you bet each game, or is it all based on feel? We really feel great about the Padres tonight, and so we're going to bet $100 instead of $25. Just curious what kind of system you all might have when it comes to sports wagering. Love the show and can't wait to hear all about ZorkFest. You all have a great week.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, we use an offshore book, Bovada, to make our sports bets. And again, gray area as far as the legality goes there. It's certainly not as illegal as a bookie that you contact, or is it? I don't know. Anyway, but that's what we use.
I would like to know if somebody in law enforcement could call in and tell us how much they worry about bookies or how much they monitor that. It seemed like it used to be like, okay, you're in trouble. Bookies were frowned on. And now to me anyway, it almost seems like it's like, well, yeah, they have a bookie. No big deal.
It would be nice to hear directly from somebody in law enforcement. I'm guessing they really don't care that much. Law enforcement does.
There's just so many other bigger
It
problems.
depends, right? If, you certainly hear about busts happening because there's a gambling den or something like that. It would depend on how big it is, right? For sure.
Yeah,
but if you're just talking about, I know a guy, maybe not so much.
And those gambling dens too, a lot of it is they're not really super concerned about the gambling aspect as they are about a lot of other things.
They kind of go along with it. But anyway, that's how we make our bets. And now let's just confess right here, we bet very little on sports. The most we ever bet on a game is $10. That's it. So this is very much for entertainment.
This is for pride.
When we're sweating these games, we're not risking a lot of money. And the way that we do it is Dr. Mike handles all the football. And yes, we've pooled our money. Dr. Mike is basing his bets on following the game, players, stats, news, records, that kind of thing, for college and NFL. I handle all the rest of the sports, so that would be baseball, hockey, basketball, NBA, and college. And I'm basing my picks on how the public is betting. I'm not looking at stats and players and things like that, just on how the public is betting. Now, we do pretty good as far as our record goes, but we're not beating the juice. This is a losing enterprise for us.
It's more for fun and pride of having, when we have really good days.
Yes, yeah.
And then, most days we're either up a little or down a little, but it's certainly not something, we would say we could make a living at.
No. And we're never saying, oh, you know what? This game I'm really confident on. Let's bet a little bit more. We just don't do that because we actually bet quite a few games for just a little bit of money. Yeah.
Yeah. What do we have today? How many games?
We've got 85 wagers today.
85
because it's Saturday.
Yeah.
So college football, college basketball. So it shows you how much we're betting. Right. But again, most of those bets, it's like $5. So.
Well, yeah, like probably average more like $6.
Well, because sometimes, we're betting the favorites. But when I say the most we bet is $10, that's because we might be betting the side and the total, $5 each. So.
Yeah, and that's one nice thing about it is, we can look back. Mark keeps track of everything, thank God, because then he can tell me at the end of the season how I did in college football or how I did in the NFL or whatever. And to be honest, win-loss wise, we do pretty good.
Win-loss wise, we do. We just can't beat the juice. Yep.
It's just the juice that kills us every time. Now, if we were more likely to say, well, I have more confidence in this game, bet higher on this one, maybe that would make a difference as far as juice goes. Yeah. But we're not in it.
We don't spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
So
when I make our picks for football, I look up some stats on teams, offensively, defensively, who they're playing, who they beat, stuff like that. And it really only takes me maybe an hour.
Yeah.
So not putting a ton of time into that.
Yeah. All right. Now, your question, do chips really belong to the casino? Yes, they do. I'm going to post a link to a really good article at Anthony Curtis's Las Vegas Advisor where it discusses all this. But I'm also going to read from the Nevada State Gaming Control Board's regulation that they reference in this article as well. Chips and tokens are solely representatives of value, which evidence a debt owed to their custodian by the licensee that issued them and are not the property of anyone other than that licensee. Okay, so that's a lot of legalese. But basically what it's saying is, well, in Rev Dan's example, when you give $100 and they give you 20 $5 chips, you're not buying those chips. Instead, they're giving you 20 IOUs for $5 each.
Right.
Think of it that way. It's like an IOU, and that's how that's represented is by this chip.
It's like when you go to a fast food place and they give you your food in one of those little plastic baskets,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to keep the basket, right? You have to turn it back in unless you accidentally throw it away with your trash.
All right.
But you're supposed to leave that because it is property of the restaurant.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
If that helps you, okay. I'm not terribly comfortable with that analogy, but okay.
Well, it's similar, right? I mean, they're loaning you the basket to make it a little easier to carry your food to the table.
Yeah, but you don't take it back to them and they give you 5 cents or something.
No, but you should return it,
All right,
right?
yes,
I mean, it's a unwritten contract that you have with the fast food. They want their basket back. That's why I always throw mine away.
What's interesting, though,
I'm sticking it to them.
Yeah, I'm moving on. What's interesting about the way the law is written, and you look and think, well, so what if I take it home? What if I keep it as a souvenir? Technically, that's not legal. But, they don't care. The casino kind of likes it when you buy chips from them, especially if it's, more than $1 chip. But under the strict letter of the law, you shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't even be able to tip your cocktail waitress with a chip because that's not its intended use. I could go on and on again. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to get into that part of it. But bottom line, these chips belong to the casinos.
That's why I've been keeping names and dates of everybody who's told me they collect chips.
Oh, good. So you're going to rat on them eventually.
Well, I'm going to hold it over their head.
When the congressional hearings come out and they call
When
you as a witness, you're going to name names.
Give me $100. Otherwise, I'm adding your name to the list of potential chip stealers.
Oh, hey, I came back with some Fountain Blue chips. I didn't realize they were in my pocket. I broke the law, I guess.
Yeah. And interstate, too. That's
interstate. Yeah. All right, let's do one more call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, Rob from Austin, Texas here. You may know me as Robbie Rolls, the first in the recent poker tournament to lose my entire stack to Mark. I am a longtime listener, first-time caller, so excited to share a trip report from Las Vegas to celebrate my buddy Zach's 40th birthday and my brother-in-law Drew, who's soon to become a dad. We focused our craft sessions at two of our favorite off-strip casinos, Ellis Island and South Point. Get this though, we first bought into a $5 table at South Point at like 11:55 a.m. And as we laid down our money, the pit upped the minimum to $10 and grandfathered everybody but us into the $5. Have you all seen this before? We thought it was weird and we pushed back on the box man. This guy like in a cowboy hat, just like looking down. He did not make eye contact. He did not budge. So it wasn't even like on an hour, like at 11:55. It just felt weird, like they upped it literally for us. But anyway, the good news is that the second shooter, once we bought in, was a lady there for her birthday, and she went on a tear for over 40 minutes. We left up a few hundred each, but mostly played 2x odds with smaller $300 bankrolls. Didn't come close to matching this guy next to us, who max pressed all his bets and at one time was betting $100 on the pass and 300 behind, and he was in total awe of himself as he ended up like over 1,000 from the session. Other hot sessions were at Ellis Island. We had 3 more of those. Shout out to Jerry in the Hawaiian shirt from Boise, Idaho, in town for the Boise State versus UNLV game. Jerry was amazing. She went on a tear as well. We ended up a few hundred for multiple sessions there and played a similar strategy. Min bet on the pass line with 3 to 5 times odds behind. Same for come bets until at least 3 numbers were covered. Prop bets like the hard ways were rare but played for $1 once we were using only house money. And for an extra boost, we'd press bets when we'd ask our dealer, Neil, if the dice were hot, and Neil would reply, "The dice are on effing fire." We love Neil. But no matter where you play, just want to remind everyone, tip your dealers. We'd add $1 on top of our odds. That kept up the energy and was amazing.
That's good.
I had a lot of fun doing all other stuff in Vegas, but I just want to mention the F1 fences. They're up right now, and they're coming every single year. So Ellis Island has a lot of traffic if you're heading out there. It's an amazing casino. Just, plan for some time to get there. And they're going to be doing a huge renovation, adding Ultimate Texas Hold'em and 3-card poker in the, coming months, which is really exciting. They're also going to change their tile floor to carpeting. So I don't know. That might be a nice upgrade for them. Anyway, 48-hour trip was amazing. We got in 4 profitable craft sessions, 8 casinos we visited, had 2 poker runs, won 3 mini jackpots on slots, and embarrassingly even negotiated with casino management to get $20 repaid from a broken bubble craft machine. So many more stories for you, but I myself walked away up over $1,000.
Got cut off there. Well, good. A good successful trip
Yeah,
for you there,
sounds like
Rob.
a good trip. You know, he's talking about tipping your dealers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I always do. And I'm going to go back here to earlier in the episode when we talked about Fountain Blue.
Yeah.
So even when I start a session without having won or lost anything, I'm on the line for the dealers or I'm placing them on the point or something. So that's what I was doing. And then when it got to where I was down to my last little bit of my buy-in, I didn't put a bet out. And the stick man said to the dealer in front of me, I guess he doesn't like you anymore.
Yeah, that was bad.
And that's what got me upset. And we left, but if we had stayed, I wouldn't have tipped him anymore. That's uncalled for.
Yeah, it really is. You don't.
Not that I don't like you anymore. It's just that I'm out of money.
Yeah, right. You get to that point.
Don't
why
you think I deserve
why
to win
say
a
that
little?
to somebody? I mean, of course you hear it. It's not like he's talking directly to you, but
he's standing next to me.
he knows you can hear it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just not thinking. Why would you do that? Biting the hand that feeds you, basically. Yeah.
Right. And that just left a terrible taste in my mouth, almost like saying, F you, we don't need your tips.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, okay.
But you still agree with Rob, tip your dealers, Dr. Mike?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and the very next table, I start the same way tipping. I'm not going to let that one jerk. Yeah. But, that's the kind of thing that runs people away from casinos. Yeah. And I don't know if the pit boss heard it, maybe he wasn't paying attention. But if I was a pit boss and I heard something like that, when break time came, I'd take that guy off to the side and explain to him why we don't do that.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably fire him right there.
Wow. You're a tough boss, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen in our casino.
We
put up with nobody being rude.
Rob was talking about how as soon as he and his buddies bought in, they raised the table stakes. Now, who knows why they did it, and it is kind of crappy. But the worst part is that the boxman would not acknowledge them.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Say, sorry, guys, I've got to do it, or sorry, we're raising, sorry, I can't grandfather you in because you just got here.
It's the same thing. It takes like 2 seconds to be courteous and just say, sorry, that's a casino rule. They said to do it, so I have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that ends everything.
Not even looking up.
Yeah, instead he just kind of tells them they're worthless.
Yeah.
We don't need your business.
That's
something like that.
That's bad. That would keep me away from a property. Yeah, if something like that happened.
Yeah, that's not going to be your first choice when you decide tomorrow morning what place you're going to go to, right?
Yeah. And then Rob was talking about, F1, all those structures are up. That definitely affected us while we were there. Trying with all the traffic and everything. Even Siri didn't know that certain roads were closed as a result and would take us certain ways, and then suddenly we'd have to backtrack. So, it's a cluster.
I brought up that
now.
point to you in the car, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth it?
You're going to get some different opinions, and certainly a lot of local businesses do not like it. Some of the high-end places like Wynn, they love it because it just means more money for them. But, I mean, I will admit I like watching it on TV. But is it worth it? Yeah, very good question. That's coming up this Saturday, actually, at around 10 o'clock local Las Vegas time. That's 10 p.m. this Saturday, November 23rd. So that'll be about midnight your time, about 1 a.m. Eastern time. So enjoy.
I mean, I know there's plenty of lights and stuff. When I watch that on TV, I like to see it in daylight.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're catering to a European crowd more than anything else, right?
Right, right. Yeah, in Europe, nothing gets going until 9 at night.
Yeah. Well, it's not that. It's that in Europe, they can watch it during the day.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand that. But I'm just saying, and Europeans do. They're more night people than Americans.
Okay, but again...
No, I mean, they wouldn't mind watching it at night, even if they're watching it in the day. I think they prefer the night. It's like a night. They have a nightlife in Europe that we don't have in America. I mean, in Greece, you don't even go out to eat dinner until about 8:30.
Oh, like the late, yeah.
They eat and then they go to the clubs after that.
Okay,
right.
Uh-huh.
Here, people are going early, and there they go later, and the clubs close later. Things like that. There's more of a nightlife and less of a get up early kind of feel.
Okay, you've opened my eyes, Dr. Mike.
Yes, well, check it out. It's true.
All right. Again, we've got some more voicemails that we will get to on our next episode. But for now, that's going to do it. We want to thank some people for some recurring donations. From James, from Jeremy at the Color Up YouTube channel, from Kurt, from the International Brotherhood of Gobbling Donkeys, from Nathan, and from Brian Dancer. Thank you very much for those recurring donations. We also got a donation from listener Chad. He said $3 for each podcast 50 minutes or longer in 2024 so far. Oh, this one's going to also qualify. So thank you very much for that, Chad. You actually gave him a recommendation on a dentist here in town, Dr. Mike. So
yes, hopefully that worked out.
He contacted us, yeah. Also, a donation from Kevin. We saw Kevin and Ann at ZorkFest. We actually got this donation before we saw them, but I hadn't read my email yet, so I would have thanked him right there and then. Kevin, thank you very much. He says, time for some Vegas karma. Thanks for the great shows. I don't think he had much luck. We didn't have much luck, so
no.
Next time.
Kevin and I are going to stick to Iowa.
Okay, yeah, that's where the real money is.
Yeah, we're going to stick to Iowa.
Yeah. Also, a donation from listener Brian, a karma donation for annual Vegas trip. Well, good luck, Brian. And a donation from Todd. Thank you for the wonderful pod. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Todd. We also got a couple of books from listener Jeff. He sent us, Mike, 2 books, 2 copies each. So I'll give you your copies next time I see. It's a friend of his who wrote some craps books a while back. And I looked at them. They're very nice. And one of them at least deals with crapless craps too. So some very nice books. Thank you very much, Jeff. Hey, at the top of our webpage, you'll find a link to our store where you can buy You Can Bet on That merchandise. Also, you can find a list of all the gambling-related shows coming up on American television at youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings. And we've got a list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonThat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at youcanbetonThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. Dr. Mike, what do you got for us?
Well, Mark, I have to say I really like this episode because it's kind of taken a burden off my shoulders about things to worry about.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So some of the things we discussed, it's actually calmed your mind a bit.
Calmed my mind a bit. You know, I go through all these what-if scenarios all the time in my head, and now I don't have to think about a couple of different things.
Oh, that's great.
And that's nice.
Good. So what are you going to do for the rest of the day?
Well, to be honest, as soon as this podcast ends, I might actually go down to Diamond Joe Worth.
Really?
Yes, because I've got some free play and there's like a bonus thing.
Oh.
So I might just go get that. I may not play.
Yeah.
I might just drive down there for the drive.
Okay.
It's such a lovely day here
It is, okay.
in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll drive down there, get my free play, and bring it back.
Okay. And then keep
There's
stockpiling it.
Yeah, stockpiling it, because there's a bunch of guys from town here, some relatives and some just people that I know that are going to go down there for a Vikings game. So I told them I'd go with them. And
that's coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah.
So I'll get some free play for that.
There you go.
And I
Good.
was just joking about the nice day. It's very cold and gloomy.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But
it's
it's
cold
still-
here too, Mike. It's like,
Yeah.
high 50s.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that's what I heard. Well, we are expecting snow next week. So
Okay.
we'll see if that happens. I'm doing everything I can to hold it off a little longer.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Then I'm going to let you go, Dr. Mike. You go get on the
All right.
road and have a good trip to Diamond Joe.
Yeah, I like driving down there, Mark. You know, you and I, we both love to drive.
I know. We were talking about it the other night at card night. Some of the guys were saying, oh, that drive to Vegas. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. It's like, I don't mind it so much. It's relaxing.
Yeah, it's relaxing. I like to drive. It gives me time to reflect on everything that I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Oh, so actually this drive to Diamond Joe might undo everything that happened in this episode as far as calming your mind.
Oh, that's true. Oh, gosh. All right. Well, that's something for me to worry about.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Come on, my card only has a 1 in 52 chance of getting picked anyway.
How did you know that? You're like Rain Man. Quick, how many toothpicks are on the ground?
0.
You need to go to Vegas.